our workplace banking benefits. And that's something that I'd like to touch on a little bit during this presentation. So we'll get started. So budgeting and creating a plan. I've had to do a lot of this in my life, and I've been through divorce and cancer and trying to get my son off to school, working full time and getting myself back to school. And being financially disciplined is hard, but what's harder is being in debt because it doesn't allow you the opportunities to do things like buy a car or buy a house or have an emergency fund. Uh, this workshop will help you explore the importance of maintaining a budget. I'm sorry? Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Someone said something and I was just like, did you need me to repeat it or, something? I don't know. Okay, so in this workshop, you're going to explore the importance of creating and maintaining a budget, and what that means and how you do that. Like what I like to do is when it's time for me to pay my credit cards or pay my electric bill, I sit down with my bill pay feature in my PNC app for my PNC virtual wallet, and I make sure that I pay them effectively and on time from there. So, and I have a certain time every month that I designate for that. I examine the differences between what I want and what I need. There are probably just a few things that I want to do that I don't do all the time. Like I try not to go out to restaurants too often because that blows my budget. And then there are the things that I need to do, like we need to pay the electric bill and all of those things. We need to set goals for spending and savings and debt repayment. Paying off debt is really hard, but you can do it. So they give us an example today of Marta. She's a 40-year-old woman who works two jobs, one in a grocery store and another at a hostess at a restaurant. So she works the 9 to 5 and the 5 to 9. She goes from one job straight to the other in order to maintain her lifestyle. She often feels overwhelmed by debt. She also has to pay bills late. And you know what happens when you pay bills late? I make sure that all of my credit cards have the same due date so that I know that if I get paid on the 15th and they're due on the 17th, that I pay them within that certain amount of time, because it takes like 2 to 3 days for them to get their money once I've sent it to them, even through my auto bill pay. Until sometimes it's over the weekend. Like if I send it on a Friday, it'll take till Monday for them to recognize it because maybe they don't work weekends. So that's something to keep in mind when you're paying your bills, is the timeliness of the way that you're paying them. So she wants to become more financially stable, and there are ways that she can do this. She makes $2,000 per month in net income. So you write that down, and she will write down how much she feels she has to make it through that month. She wants to make a financial plan, create a budget, have savings, and live within her means and reduce debt. So how we look at that is your gross income is what your salary is, or like if they tell you you're making $50,000 a year, that's your salary. Everything that they take out of it after that is considered your net income. And not to insult anyone's intelligence, but that's where the government takes out the taxes, or your 401k takes out the distribution. But although that does work for you, it does come out of your gross income. And any other medical benefits that you might have, or additional money you have set aside going to taxes for exemptions, that's going to come out, and the net income is what you're going to be left with. So as we move forward, and it's not doing that. Okay. Budgeting is a process of creating a plan. So how can I help you budget? Well, we can sit down and have a one-on-one appointment. We can talk one-on-one in person if that's something that you need me to do and you need to show me the paperwork. I'm happy to do that for you. We can have a virtual appointment because, you can see me today. I'm working from the office. You're at your office. We can have those appointments and I can help you live within your means. I can help you pay off your debt and I can help you save more money for your financial future. So what she wants to do is she wants to take a look at her wants and needs. This is something that I asked myself a lot. Like, do I want this or can I live without this? She wants to do the things on the left. She wants to go get coffee with her friends. And we all know that coffee is $4 or $5 a day if you go to Starbucks like I do. Um, it can really add up to, for instance, if you went 5 days a week, $4 a pop, that's $20 a week. If you didn't do that, if you made coffee at home and you saved that money, that's $1,000 a year. Imagine what you could do with $1,000, right? Groceries. The biggest mistake I make is going to the store hungry. Let's not do that. Car insurance, I highly recommend price shopping that. Cell phones, I recently made a change myself. Restaurants, I talked about that earlier. Entertainment, what do we need to do? Like, for instance, I love to go to baseball games, and we have an ATM card, PNC, that has a partnership with the Cincinnati Reds. So I know that I can get discounts on certain days. A car payment. I'm currently saving for a car, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit more. Transportation expenses. How much does it cost me to get to and from work? I don't pay rent, I do pay a mortgage, but how much is that going to be every month? Health insurance and medical expenses. Usually this is covered by my insurance through work, but I do have a copay, right? Clothing. This is something where if you're a shoe monger like me, you have to watch that. I love a good pair of shoes. Utilities. I have my Duke Energy on even billing. So no matter what, and I can talk to you about how this works, I pay the same amount every month, regardless of how much energy I'm using. And by the end of the year, I usually have developed a surplus so that the final month of the year only costs me a few dollars. And going to the salon, guilty of this as well. I love to get my hair done, love to get my nails done, but we all need to watch that, right? So we make a list of what she spends on wants and how much she spends on needs. So if you're looking at the wants, okay, you can see that if coffee's $40 a month, that means she's at least going, what? If it's $4, it's $10 or 10 days a week, that she's going at $4 a pop. We could probably reduce that. How often she's going out to restaurants? $50 doesn't seem a bit excessive. Entertainment, that's one night at the movies. Clothing, we could probably reduce that. Salons, if you're doing that once a week, or if you're getting your nails done, maybe not get them done more than once a week or once a month. Her rent seems doable. Groceries, we might be able to reduce that a little bit. Car payment, we may be able to refinance that. Car insurance, let's take a look at that. What are our transportation expenses? Maybe she can ride share with someone. And medical expenses, and internet, shop your internet. So in order to cut expenses and reduce spending, you want to price shop for services. For instance, I recently changed the carrier that I'm using for my cell phone. That reduced my expenses by $110 a month. So if that's something that you're interested in talking about, I'd be happy to talk to you about how to make those changes. You might want to think about doing a new job or something at your work where they're looking for someone else to fill a position that is not something that you currently do, but pays more. Consider freelance. I have a side gig. I dog sit on the side. I don't do it like every week or whatever, but it does help add to my income when my friends and family and my friends and family are on vacation. So it does help me. I think last year I earned probably about 3,000 extra dollars just, watching someone's dog on the side. So, and if we're looking at debt, one of the things to keep in mind right now is that the average interest rate on a credit card, if you have below a certain tierage in your credit score is 25 to 30%. So if we're looking at the credit card that she owes, and that's $400, you're going to see, like, if she's not paying that balance off every month, the 23% interest. 23% of $400 is $92. And that's a lot. If you're paying that every single month, you're paying $92 a month because you're not paying off that balance. Or if you're not paying up on time, they could increase your interest rate, which would up your payment. On her second credit card, she's paying $54 a month in interest if she's not paying that off. Sorry, my phone went off. And then on the student loans, $7,000 with 12% interest is $84 a month. And what that looks like for you, okay, like let's take, for example, if you had a credit card and you owed $12,000 on that credit card, okay, and you thought to yourself, okay, I'm going to pay $1,000 a month. But let's say, for instance, the interest rate was 30%. That interest is going to run you $3,600 on top of that $12,000. If your credit's within good standing and you want to reduce debt, talk to me about that. I can really help you do that. We have credit cards at PNC that start at 0% interest and give you up to a year to pay them off. And imagine how much faster you could pay that debt off if you transferred that balance to something with lower interest. So debt management strategies. Okay, I do a couple of these myself. All right, like we all get into trouble around Christmas. I know I do. But one of the ways I stave that off are a couple of methods called the avalanche method and the snowball method. The avalanche method is a little harder for me, like that means you're rolling down the hill, right? So avalanche, I have to pay the credit card that has the biggest debt first, okay, or the biggest interest rate. I usually start with the biggest interest rate because I know I'm paying more interest on that card than I am on any others. Okay. So if I want to pay that one off first, if it has the highest balance, the highest interest, I want to get rid of that one first. And then it's a trickle down effect of the ones behind it. Now, not everyone can afford to do it that way, pay the big one off first. So what we'd like to do is pay the smaller one off first. If you have one that has, like, I have a gas card, let's say it has $250 on it, and I pay that one off first, and it has the lowest interest rate. Then I get to the next one. Maybe it's my Target card, and I want to pay that off so that that one goes away. And then you work your way up to the one with the biggest balance. And so if you're doing it that way, little by little and chipping away at it, it's going to help you. What you want to do when you're looking at debt is you want to set goals for yourself, whether they be short term or long term. A little bit about my own financial journey. I bought my first house recently last year. This is after divorcing someone 5 years ago. So it took me a while to build a nest egg. That was a long-term goal. All right. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough to put down on the house and that the interest rate was good enough that I could afford the payment and start putting that money away like a little bit every month so that I could create an emergency fund, so that I could create something that I could put for a down payment. And then what PNC also offered me was a grant because I qualified for that. So if you're looking at home ownership, please let me know. A medium-term goal will be like, I want to improve the quality of my house. I want to paint. I want to maybe improve the kitchen. So it might take me 2 to 5 years to save up the money to do those things or do them in small increments. Once I've paid off a certain amount of my home, I can also use the equity in my home and withdraw that equity to make improvements. If that's something that you're interested in talking about, please reach out to me. A short-term goal may be something like I'm looking at upgrading the car that I currently have. So how I'm doing that is I'm setting aside money every month for the amount that I want that car payment to be, so that when I trade my car in, I also have a year in payments saved so that the loan itself, if I need one, will not be that big. So setting your own financial goals is, how do you sit down and where do you know where to start? Well, one of the ways you can know where to start is to have a conversation with me about those things. I've been through a lot financially, so I feel like I can use those things to help other people break that barrier of financial wellness. Get yourself to a place where it's not stressing you out so much. And those are that it's just such a great place to be in. After all of the hard work I've put in on my own finances and helping other people get through theirs, it's something that I'm entirely passionate about. So we can sit down with you and help you make those goals. So how do we create a budget? This is one of the best rules that we have here at PNC, and everybody's heard about. Dave Ramsey talks about it too. It is the 50-30-20 rule. And if you've ever heard about this, it is the best way to break down your wants and needs. What we do here is we take a look at the percentages, okay? So 50% is the have to stuff. Like you have to pay the mortgage or the rent, you have to pay the electric, you have to pay for your cell phone. And I'm sure you get where I'm going with that. And then the 30% should be the want to stuff. Like I want to go to concerts. I want to go thrifting with my mom. I love to go to antique stores or baseball games. So I want to set that 30% aside for that. The 20% is something that you want to set aside for your emergencies or your long-term goals. Let's take, for example, an emergency fund. Ask yourself, how many times have you ever had an emergency and not had the funds to cover it? One of the best ways that I do this breakdown is through our virtual wallet at PNC. So if you want to talk to me about opening a virtual wallet, I can walk you through that steps. It's a 3-in-1 account and it works really well with the 50-30-20 rule. The 50%, and I drive this virtual wallet with my direct deposit, okay? So my direct deposit goes into my PNC account, and the 50% I put into my spend account. That 50% I use for my things that I absolutely have to do, the needs. There is a secondary account, which is called the reserve account. I use the reserve account for the 30% of the things that I want to do. Like my short-term savings is for concert tickets or baseball tickets. And then 20% of my paycheck is designated to go to my savings account. So these three accounts work together with this 50-30-20 rule. So if you're interested in talking to me more about that after this, I'd be happy to help you break that down. So if we take a look at her expenses, Marta's expenses, and what she has to do and what she wants to do, if we reduce her wants to about 210 minus about when we take the 330 and we reduce that to 210, we come up with a little bit more of a surplus where she can put into her savings $100 a month. So if you're a homeowner, you know that something's going to go wrong eventually, whether it's the water heater, the washing machine, the oven. And if you're not setting aside those things that you need, there are other ways to go about it, but you're going to pay interest on those things and more than likely it's going to be predatory. So please talk to me about some of the things that I can help you do that are within your means and that work for you. Like, let's say, for instance, you own your own home. We can take out a home equity on your home and you can have it open as a cushion. You can have a credit card as a cushion if your emergency fund is expended. Please talk to me about those things and don't go down a predatory road. We have a category method on a more detailed breakdown of percentages and categories that help us budget and use these methods effectively. Housing should be 30% of your income. So let's take, for example, $100. Let's break this down very easily. Okay, so if you made $100, 30% of that would be $30. So let's say that the $30 of that $100 is your housing. 10% should be your utilities. So that would be $10. Again, with the groceries and the transportation and the debt repayment and the savings. I think you understand where I'm going. Dining out would be $5 and car insurance would be $5, clothing and entertainment. So if we're breaking down 100% of your paycheck, that's how we're looking at it. And you want to make sure that when you're writing these things down with me and we're having our one-on-one appointments, that you are thinking ahead and making sure that you can afford the budget and live within your means. So if we take, for example, and we're able to do this contribution to her savings every month, she's going to have $1,200 by the end of the month if she just sticks to her budget. The strategies for and the habit of savings that you get into, I like to look at it this way. Okay. A lot of people do retail therapy. Okay. They like to, if you have a bad day or, you want to go buy yourself a new pair of shoes, you want to go out with friends. But what if we looked at the excitement we have for buying those things that we want and putting it away for something that we need? Wouldn't it be great if we got the same amount of excitement into that habit of saving as we did into that habit of spending? Think about how that's going to add to your life rather than take it away. Like, how many more pairs of shoes do I actually need? Or can I put this money away for my financial future? Use automatic savings. Like when I do the 50-30-20 split, I have my paycheck designated to go into these 3-in-1 accounts that I have in my virtual wallet. So I have it 50% of my paycheck going into my spend account. So I know that that's where my needs come from. 30% goes into my reserve account, and then 20% goes into my savings account so that I can budget effectively. I limit spending, and not everybody's perfect. We all do those things where we go out too much. We want to see our friends. And I have ways of getting around doing this. I was like, instead of going out to lunch, let's go for a walk in the woods. Or, there are things that we can do with our friends and family that do not cost us an arm and a leg. So remember, there are lots of strategies for budgeting, but the important thing is use the one that works for you. Everybody's different. So what works for you is not going to be the same that works for everyone else. You want to speak to someone you trust, like friends and family, or you can speak to me. I do not judge you, and I will be more than happy to set aside time to talk to you about your wants and your needs. I used to be a mortgage loan officer. So if buying a home is a financial goal for you, please talk to me about that. If you have a side business and you're carrying large balances, please talk to me about how you can budget and grow that more effectively. If you're struggling with retirement income, talk to me about those things and how you're setting aside time and money for your financial future so that you can create something that you can leave behind. If you want to talk to me about how to manage debt, that's something that I'm very good at as well. So all of these things together will help you work effectively. And if you want to talk to me about your workplace banking benefits, we do have the virtual wallet that can help you, A, budget your funds more effectively. B, you get a financial reward for setting it up depending upon how much you're driving with your direct deposit. You're also able to visualize your spending from any electronic device. I can pay my bills from my phone. Sometimes I would do it when I was in the car line waiting for my kid at school because, he loved to sit around and talk to his teachers. But I would be able to manage my time more effectively and let them know. I'm going to share with you my information so that you can see let's see here, or I can just give it to you and put it in the chat. I'm going to put my phone number and my name so that you can reach out to me, or if you want to stay on and set up an appointment, I would love to have you do that. I'm going to be calling you more than likely from this number or my the number on the computer There's this number for me right here if you want to talk to me. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to chime in.
We can take chat questions too if you're not wanting to unmute yourself, or if you sound like me all congested today that don't want to talk. Or just unmute yourself and ask the questions that you want to ask to Kate.
Yes, please do. I mean, no question. Or if you just want to set up a one-on-one, please, email me or give me a call. I am more than happy to do that. I put my email in the chat. If you'd like to just send me an email and or if you need just a little time to think about it, I would love to help you get to those goals that you have, because your financial goals are your life goals, or at least they are for me. Everything that I have done in the last decade has been geared towards my own financial wellness. So I'd love to take a question if anyone has one. Or if you'd like to email me, because this is an open forum, I'm good with that too. Or if you'd like to call me and set up a time to meet virtually or in person, I'd love to help you with that. If you want to hear more about your workplace banking benefits, I'm good with that too. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, I had a question.
Sure. I would love that.
Okay, so I caught in there that you said that opening a home equity, so if your house is paid for,
Right.
is that something you advise just to have as a fallback?
Absolutely. Think about this. Okay. I had someone recently, their daughter had a medical emergency. Okay. So, in order for them to work through that with what they had in their means to pay for it, it was something that their insurance wasn't going to cover. Okay. So, they had a medical emergency, and what they had to do in order to get it done quickly was take out a personal loan. But the interest rate on that personal loan was too high. Okay. Doing a home equity line paid off that personal loan and reduced that interest by 2/3. So if they had already had that home equity loan open, they would not have had to take a personal loan at 15% and this was a couple of years ago when we were looking through COVID, but they had to take out a personal loan at 15%. They did not do that from our bank. It was more of a predatory practice. And then they were able to reduce that by 2/3 by having me set up a home equity, pay off that higher interest rate, and have, in addition, that cushion of the home equity. Your home is basically a piggy bank, okay? It's your own money that you're pouring that into that home every single month. That's why you own that home. Once you get to a certain tierage on your mortgage and what that looks like for you, you're able to open up that equity and have that available to yourself whenever you need it. And you don't really have to pay anything if you're not using it. So I think there's like maybe $50 a year just for maintenance. If you're not taking anything out, you're not paying anything back. So it's just sitting there open as an emergency fund if you need to use it. Great question. So if that's something you want to discuss with me, I would love to talk to you about that more.
Kate, I had a private message somebody sent me. Would you mind sending us your slide presentation that I can share with the entire group?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank
just
you.
shoot me or just put your email in the chat.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Do we have another question? I see someone's face. You might have to take yourself off mute, though.
No, sorry, I didn't have any questions. I was just listening.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. Do you all help with trust, putting stuff into a trust?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I can help you in any financial space. The nice part about PNC is we have many advisors and different facets. So I have all of these internal partners. And the nice part about having me as your workplace banker is you can reach out to me anytime and say, you know what, I'm thinking about this. I want to work towards this. Is there something or someone that you can set me up with? And these are all free conversations. So if you would like to send me an email about what you want to talk to that person about, and you and I can set up a time to talk, I would love that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does
We have
anyone
another
else have?
question in the chat.
Oh yeah,
Paige.
I would love that. What does the application process of a HELOC look like? Is this the person that I was just talking to, or I think the initials were DK. I was just talking to her. But if you wanted to send me, it doesn't show me your names, it just shows me your initials. Okay, so Aliana, is it? Did I say that right? What the application process of a HELOC looks like is I set you up with a mortgage loan officer. Okay. The mortgage loan officer will reach out to you and talk you through that application. Three main pieces of any mortgage puzzle, home equity or mortgage, is we're going to look at a couple of different things. The value of your home versus what the loan amount is. That we call that loan to value. Okay. Debt to income. How much do you owe versus how much do you have coming in? And then credit score, credit history. And what that looks like for you in those three things will help determine your interest rate. But the mortgage loan officer would reach out to you, talk to you through the process, and set up an application. And depending upon, how much paperwork we need, it can be done in a month to 2 months so that we can get that open. And then those funds can go directly into your checking account. We like to set it up so that the checking account is married with the home equity. Just like if you have a mortgage and you have a bank account at PNC that goes with that mortgage, you're going to know that you can pay that directly from that. Okay. So what we like to do is have an account that's set up that goes with that so that you can pay it at the last minute, like sometimes we do with our mortgage or any other bills that we have. And it works better for you to have those things. If you want to have more of a conversation about that and take that offline, and we can do that, I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone about any financial concerns that they have, whether it's something that you're trying to get clear of or if it's something that you're planning for. And if you're trying to get clear of things so that you can plan for things, definitely talk to me about that, because I have paid off in the last 5 years about $50,000 worth of debt, saved money to buy my own home, sent my kid off to college, sent myself off to college. I'm still going to school online, working a side business. No, I don't sleep. Everybody always asks me that question. But I'd love to help other people do the things that I have struggled with. So if you're going to talk to me, there are no judgments. I've been through it all. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? And Aliana, you still have your hand up. Do you have another question? Are you still there? You're still on mute. Are you still there? Okay. So if anyone wants to stick around or has any questions, I see that there are many of you still on. Please ask them. Oh, thank you. That's okay. And if you want to send me an email, Aliana, I'll be happy to give you a call and we can talk more about that. And the same with the lady who asked me about the home equity. And I'm terrible with names.
Jamelia,
Jamelia,
that's me. Mhm.
that's you? Did I
Yes.
say it right?
Yeah, that was Jamila. It's okay. I just wanted the slides. I'll make sure I add it into our actual chat at the end of the meeting session,
Yeah, and
just to
I
make sure as soon as
encourage,
we get the slides. Thank
oh, I'm
you.
sorry. I encourage anyone that was here today or not here today, if you want to send out the deck and my information, I will be more than happy. There are going to be two numbers on my presentation. One is my business line that does connect to my cell phone, but sometimes the reception's not so good, so I put my cell phone in the chat. And that's also in the email that I'm going to send you, but I'm happy to talk to anybody about things that they're planning for or trying to get clear of. I really thank you all for joining me today. And if no one else has any questions, I will give you your 20 minutes back.
Thank you so much. Now, before
You're
everybody
welcome.
leaves,